Doing some things a little bit different today. But basically, sometimes it's harder. It's easier for me to get what I'm trying to get out in the form of writing. So this time I wrote a little something and then I read it to you. I actually like videos like that. Hopefully you guys do too. But hopefully I'll get better at this the more I do it. If I do it more, let me know what you think. And so today I'm going to be talking about, as artists, as creators, is it better for us to be visible or invisible? Get your invisibility cloaks ready. Here we go.
Donkey Job Projects!
So this is the first in a series of fan art I'm doing from the Netflix series Stranger Things. At some point, as I've been working on these pieces, I thought to myself, who is my favorite character in Stranger Things? At first, I really wasn't sure. When it comes down to it, it's really the overall feeling of the whole show that makes this series irresistible to me. But as I thought further, it had to be either Dustin or Eleven. I don't really know if I conclusively actually have a favorite character, but I'm definitely a fan of Dustin. During the making of this piece, I actually sketched him out, plus 3 of the other characters in the story as well. It took me somewhere around 6 hours to do all of this, and Dustin was the only one that I brought to completion so far. Today's the day after, and I'm wondering to myself, why did I take so long? And was it worth it? The reason I decided to do these in the first place was for a few reasons. One of the main reasons is I'm pretty low on cash these days, and I was hoping to get some sales going with commissions and things. Another reason is I was trying to build up some content for my YouTube channel. But with my whole rocket ship plan to get published at Image Comics and make a living telling stories however I publish it, I was wondering also whether this is really helping me move towards my goal or not. Or am I just getting distracted once again? I seem to wrestle with these types of things way more often than I'd like to. I want to be productive, like super productive. I want to get as many stories out as possible, and I want to inspire and bring meaning and entertainment to people with my stories. It's all about stories at this point. Some of my biggest inspirations are creative workhorses like Stephen King and Robert Kirkman. Naturally, this desire leads me to look around and see if there's anybody I know who puts out the kind of productivity I aspire to. More on that in a minute, though. So, in Stranger Things, you may or may not zero in on Dustin as the main character. When it comes down to it, it's not 100% obvious who the main character is, if there even is one. Probably Mike or Eleven is my best guess. So shouldn't my favorite character be whoever the main character is? I mean, as somebody who studies storytelling, I commonly come across the idea that your quote-unquote protagonist is meant to be the character in the story that the reader or watcher identifies with. It's supposed to be through his or her eyes that we understand what's going on and understand the meaning of what the author is trying to bring across to us. Of course, all of these concepts are malleable and debatable, but that is some of what is the common wisdom in storytelling, usually. One person, however, who I would not peg as the main character or the hero of the story, at least at first, is Dustin. Before I rewatched some of these episodes, I remember Dustin as a good time, as a funny kid, and kind of goofy and bumbly. But upon re-examination, I'm realizing he's one of the most important keys to the story. He pushes the plot along and reveals the heart of what's going on multiple occasions. It's funny because you can tell that his friends are sometimes critical of him when they see him do certain goofy things, but when it comes down to it, Dustin is the one who knows how to use the compass and lead them on their journey, and Dustin is the one who keeps the group together when they're fighting and reminds them of the purpose of what they're doing. Another character that comes to mind as I'm thinking of this is Sam from Lord of the Rings. On the surface, you almost don't see him. He's the supporting role to Frodo, who has the all-important task of destroying the ring. It's funny, J.R.R. Tolkien himself even has been known to attribute Sam as being the real hero to the story. If it wasn't for Sam, Frodo would have given up or given in to the power of the ring on multiple occasions. In the end, Frodo was forever scarred by his journey and ultimately failed to do the right thing. But Sam was loyal and courageous throughout the whole story. Frodo truly wouldn't have been able to do it without Sam. You could say similar things about Hermione and Ron in Harry Potter. The point is, those who we often see more predominantly are not always the most heroic or productive. Now back to what I was leading to before. I can't help but take a look around me to see if there are any of my peers who have a great ability to produce and don't often get distracted from their purpose. And I actually do see it a lot. I can tell that some people are really going to make a lot of progress in their career because their work ethic seems to surpass many others. Some of those people you may have either not heard of or aren't at the forefront of your mind. We tend to see the ones who make themselves seen and hear the ones who make themselves heard. Some are good at being seen and heard and also at working really hard and being productive, but that is pretty rare. Doing all of those things takes tremendous dedication, and very few can keep that many plates spinning without having all of those plates smashed to the ground eventually. When we think of Marvel Comics, many people quickly mention Stan Lee as the man behind the Marvel Universe, but often it's only those who study the craft more intimately who realize Jack Kirby may have played a much larger role in creating the Marvel Universe than Stan did. Some people could care less who created it and are instead more interested in the stories themselves. Even in my faith, I believe that God is the invisible hand that created all that is visibly seen in creation. Regardless of what any of us believe, we all can appreciate and enjoy nature and the world we live in. My point isn't to come to any value judgments on what anyone has or hasn't done to create a particular work here. I'm only contemplating what I can mine from the examples of those who seem to take a less visible approach, whether voluntary or involuntary. So again, how important is it for me to become a well-known YouTuber or get thousands of likes and hearts on various social media? How important is it for me to create fan art and be commissioned to make art for people for money? How important is it for people to know that I am the creator behind the stories I create? I think that the answer isn't 100% one way or the other. I do think there's value in knowing the creator of a certain works. For other creators, it gives insight into the creative process, and for those who are just enjoying the stories, it can give them a deeper understanding and enjoyment to the stories they've come to love. In some ways, personally, I would like to become a little bit more of an invisible artist if it means that I'm a more productive artist. I'd love to do all of the social media things and all of the business things and all of the creative things, but until I have sufficient time to allow me to do all of those things, I have to be more strategic. I'm coming to realize that YouTube and social media, as important as they are, have to be secondary efforts. Like Dustin, I want to be more loyal to my purpose and to my friends and those who are willing to spend some of their hard-earned time on the things that I create. That needs to be at the core of my creative efforts, and I need to be more disciplined not to deviate from that. If it means I become invisible for a while so that the stories I believe I'm being led to tell become more visible, so be it. I'm totally cool with that. In fact, I kind of prefer it. So that's that. Hopefully you guys like that. Hopefully it was interesting and helpful. to you guys and girls. And yeah, I thank you for watching, taking your time out. Let me know what you think about this topic. Do you kind of like the idea of kind of creating your thing and hiding behind it, and kind of having the story be known or the art be known more than anything? Or how much are you focused on social media, or do you think you need to tone down on it, or to do more of it, or what do you think? I'm curious to hear what you guys think. So let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe, please, if you haven't. Thank you so much for watching, taking time out of your day to do this and check it out. And thank you to all my patrons who are watching some of the extra video content there and supporting in that way. And yeah, that's about it, guys. You guys are all awesome. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will talk to you in the next episode.